I wonder what Mary Shelley would have thought of this movie had she seen it. You know, this movie claims to be what Mary Shelley was trying to get at when she wrote her famous novel, but claims that she couldn't get it out in that novel because she didn't have the right words or enough knowledge or whatever. Now, I have not read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I wish to someday. I think it would be nice. But what I can tell you is that this movie is absolutely not what Mary Shelley was trying to say. How do I know this? Because this movie has nothing to say. Nothing at all. Not even anything that's unoriginal. There is nothing that this movie has to say. Or perhaps it is just trying to say so many different things, and it falls flat on its face in the process. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if you're newer around here, thank you for joining me. I'm in a bit of a precarious position right now, but I'll try to make this quick. So I just saw The Bride. It is directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and it stars Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale. And also Jake Gyllenhaal, actually, in a smaller role. I didn't know he was going to be in this. Unfortunately, he could not save this movie. This movie is a prime example of style over substance. I should know, a lot of my short films fall into the same pit hole. Now, the problem with movies that often do style over substance is a lot of times in order to have a specific style, you have to basically ignore logical rules for the world that you're building. And this style in particular is all about throwing out anything logical, anything that makes sense in favor of gothic visuals. Now this is something I will give credit to the movie. Some of the visuals here are actually pretty cool and interesting. But unfortunately, that is pretty much the only good thing that the style of this movie carries with it, is interesting visuals that seemingly go nowhere. And it's funny too, I feel like this style becomes less and less as the movie carries on. Now maybe I'm just crazy or so, I don't know. It's just this style, it's just style, alright? And it becomes less and less as the movie carries on. There's no point to it. In fact, actually, that's the only point to this movie, is its style. It has that style where, you know, it breaks the fourth wall, tells you like, no, you've been misled about the Frankenstein story. This is what the Frankenstein story is really about. And like I said, it's not. Now, the story of this movie is about Frankenstein's creature, or monster, whatever you want to call him, played by Christian Bale, who seeks to have a companion. And in so doing, he partners with this scientist who, despite stating the fact that there are several moral discrepancies here, she decides to go along with it anyways because he says, "Aren't you a mad scientist? Aren't you curious?" And that washes away any worries or doubts that she had, which leads them to dig up a corpse and resurrect her as the bride. And this movie had some interesting potential for some interesting storytelling here. Perhaps these two characters, who are both corpses who've been resurrected, could bond over the fact that they are in fact monsters. And we would have some weird romance story that was unafraid to be what it was. Then I would have some respect. But the chemistry between these two leads is just completely non-existent. Every single scene that these two characters are on screen for together, which is the majority of this movie, is just next to unbearable to get through. They have nothing in common other than the fact that they're corpses who've been resurrected, but even that doesn't seem like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter, because it just doesn't. They don't care. The filmmakers do not care. It doesn't really come into play. There's so many elements throughout this film that are brought up and are just as quickly discarded. For instance, the subplot of this movie that explains, and I'm getting into spoilers here because I don't think I could talk about this movie without delving into them, but don't worry, it's not worth to watch it. Anyways, the reason why our lead character winds up dead is because she insults a mob boss. Now, this character is only on screen 2 times. That's it. And he's made up to be this violent criminal who cuts out women's tongues to silence them. And while I do appreciate the message that the filmmakers are trying to get at here, this movie is incredibly sloppy at showing us this. I mean, this character is only on screen twice. Once in the very beginning of the movie and once towards the end. And not that this movie should surround this character completely, but I'm using him as an example to explain how there are so many things, so many subplots and side characters who are just brought up and then they do almost nothing with them. They start off trying to make a point and then never finish. And I think that is the main problem with this movie. It doesn't know how to make a proper point. Our main character, Penelope, Penny, Ginger, Ida, whatever she's fucking called, there's a scene at a dinner party with Jake Gyllenhaal where she basically pulls out a gun and makes a speech about how fucked up it is the way that women are treated and how other people are treated. And again, nothing against the message here, but I have seen other movies, and I'm sure you have as well, that handle this subject matter much more better than this movie here. And what happens shortly after this is apparently this scene sparks a revolution where women all over the country take to the streets, putting on the bride's makeup with the mouth and the thing, and shooting guns. And the movie does nothing with this. It's like this movie could have been wild. That's another point, or that's another, I guess, pro of this movie is there were a lot of instances throughout this movie where I was entertained by what was going on. Don't get me wrong, I was bored through about a third of this movie, especially towards the end when it just started to drag. Because, like, I knew it wasn't going anywhere. We hear about this revolution for 2 minutes and then nothing. Nothing. It's just dropped. Like, what was the plan? I wanted to see, I would have been cool seeing more of that, but we don't get any of that. Not to mention, the bride herself has this weird shtick, which starts happening to her before she even is turned into the bride that we see, which is that she is, I guess, possessed by Mary Shelley. She dons a British accent and starts flexing her vocabulary. Why this happens, I don't really know. Mary Shelley is a character in this movie, and I guess she acts as the narrator, the person who is controlling the story. So she states early on in the movie that to make this story work, she has to give this character like 2 minds or something, I think. So I guess maybe she has dissociative identity disorder, or I don't know. I don't think it matters, but it's because it's nonsensical. And this happens to her before she's turned into the bride, and it keeps happening to her afterward. It's like whenever she gets worked up or something. It's just an annoying trait that just sounds so, it just makes it so pretentious. It's not because she's British, it's because it makes no fucking sense. What were they thinking? I don't understand. This is why I wonder what Mary Shelley would have thought if she'd seen this movie, if she'd seen herself portrayed in this manner. What would she have thought? I don't fucking know, and certainly neither do these filmmakers, but anyways. So that happens throughout the entirety of the 2-hour runtime. That's another thing too, this movie is too long. I normally don't mind sitting through a 3-hour or even a 3.5-hour movie so long as it earns that runtime, but this movie does not. Now maybe it's just because it's a shit movie, but I was just hoping that the end would come and that I could just get out of the theater and go back to doing homework or something more productive than spending $10 on a fucking ticket to see this thing. I'm actually happy that none of my parents could go with me to see this movie because holy shit, focus camera. This would not have been worth their time, and it certainly wasn't worth mine. Also, side note, while I was in the theater, there weren't that many people there, but somewhere behind me, I'm assuming he was just tapping his leg, but for a while I didn't think that's what he was doing. It certainly didn't sound like that. And considering what was being shown on the screen of the movie, two corpses getting sexual with each other, I thought, oh my god. Thankfully, I don't think that's what he was doing, but I don't fucking know. Maybe that I got caught up worried about that and I just missed a whole bunch of shit with this movie, and that's why I think it's an incoherent mess. But either way, there are also other scenes throughout this movie. For instance, during the dinner scene that I mentioned before, Frankenstein meets Jake Gyllenhaal's character, who is an actor in movies that this guy's absolutely obsessed with. He keeps going to the theater to watch the same movies by this guy over and over and over again. And maybe I missed the metaphor here, but he clearly admires this guy, and it's exactly what you would expect. He meets him, and Jake Gyllenhaal is just, wants nothing to do with him. Don't meet your heroes or some shit. I don't fucking know. This movie is predictable. And so his response to this is he gets angry and starts a whole dance rave and somehow possesses the rest of the guests at the party. And so they all start doing the corpse dance thing, and it's like, what the fuck? And then later, when the police storm in, and she's making her grandiose speech, which later triggers the revolution that we don't see fuck all about, there's police officers, dozens of police officers, all pointing guns at her, because she's wielding a pistol. She even shoots the ceiling a couple times, and she's threatening to shoot other people, like the actor. And at one point, it's like, I don't know how the police would go about dealing with a situation like this, let alone in the 1930s or whenever the fuck this movie takes place. They just seem so incompetent, because after she does shoot an officer dead, they let her get away. And yes, I know Frankenstein, or Frank, whatever the fuck his name is, he does shuck two officers across the room and slams the big-ass chandelier down. But in all that time, the bride is just standing there, dumbfounded. Shoot her ass! Or something. I don't fucking know. Also, I'd think that with Frank's insane strength, where moments earlier he takes a glass and just fucking eats it, he would have immense strength or some shit. But yet these people fucking get injured and die to bullets. They fucking die to bullets. I don't understand. I thought they were Frankenstein. Like I said before, the style really makes it to where there's no logical consistency. There's no consistency about anything in this movie other than it is consistently just all over the fucking place. And not in a good way. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to say. How long have I been ranting for? Fucking Christ. Yeah, I really... Maybe you'll like this movie better than I will. Maybe you should go see it for yourself to form your own opinion on it. I don't know, but there are so many things that I'm certain that if I were to rewatch this movie, I would have even more ammo to fucking fire it down. But right now, it's just frustrating. It's pretentious. It's pretentious. It thinks it's better than it is. It's nothing. It has nothing to say. It is nothing. I would have been fine if it was just some entertaining movie, and maybe that was the point overall. Maybe it's actually satire, making fun of pretentious movies that try to fucking have a message and then just don't pull it off. I don't know, but My favorite characters in the movie were the two detectives who were pursuing this Bonnie and Clyde Frankenstein couple, which maybe they could have done something with that, and they kind of did. I'll give them credit there. They kind of did, but it didn't amount to jack fucking shit. How did the scientists even manage to resurrect them at the end of the movie after her fucking lab was shot to shit? They literally wouldn't stop shooting. I don't fucking understand. None of this movie makes any sense. But I will say this. For most of the movie, I was entertained. And it did have some cool shots. But in so achieving this, it sacrificed pretty much every fucking thing else. 22. That's what I'm feeling. 22. Thank you all so much for watching. I apologize for my anger. And hopefully, whatever movie I review next, I enjoy reviewing more. I think I've been constantly going in and out focus because I'm trying out a different lens because my last one fucked me over. The joys of being a small-time movie creator. Now my carpet's wrinkling. It's not even a carpet, it's a rug. Whatever, fuck it. Review over. Goodbye.